where the focus is more on identifying fintech innovations. I see four panelists who bring in very diverse perspective when it comes to having seen different kinds of startups, different innovations, particularly in the fintech space. So I would go on to each of the panelists, quickly take their inputs on what are the kind of fintech innovations that they've seen in their work. So my first question to Mr. Hitesh would be, as someone who leads the startup engagement and startup investing vertical within ICICI Bank, is interactive with several fintechs. So I'm keen to understand, how do you assess the innovativeness of a fintech before engaging with them? And it would be great if you can share some examples of fintechs who've been doing interesting work that ICICI Bank has also supported.
Thank you, Akash, for bringing this up. We are fortunate enough that we are in a country where our regulator is one of the biggest innovator, right? So whatever innovation you are seeing in the fintech ecosystem, I think largely are being led by the regulator. So let's say if we talk about UPI, right? NPCI, amazing work in terms of simplifying payments, right? And it's one of the best payment ecosystem in the world, I would say, where everybody, talks about UPI across the globe, and many of the countries are wanting to implement it in their host countries, right? So again, talking about account aggregation, right? Which is a framework where the data of the customer can be, shared amongst the bank, amongst all the financial institutions, only with the consent of the customer, where customer doesn't need to do anything, it has to just provide consent, and basis that the entire data can be shared, right? So again, this initiative being led by the now the entire data exchange among the financial institution, and the scope of the account aggregation is also increasing, where it is not only about banking data, but now it will have GST data, it will have income tax data, SEBI data, insurance data. So on a click of a button, you can get a complete profile and picture of the customer, and then basis that you analyze it and you can offer the relevant products, right? Third one, CBDC, right? Central Bank Digital Currency, I think. Again, led by the regulator, which is, CBDC in a nutshell is a digital, money. So like you carry cash in your pocket, it is a digital avatar of that cash, and it's a programmable money. The best part is, it helps you to determine the end use. You can program it, right? So many times, let's say as a father, I want to give money to my kid, and I want to ensure that he buys, let's say, only books out of that, money, and not the chocolates. Then can I program that money so that only books can be bought with that money, and which is possible now through CBDC. And we'll see many more use cases which will emerge as we move on that journey. It's one of the most successful launch where we saw in December huge volumes, and everybody participating into it. So I think all these initiatives are largely being kind of led by regulators, and then there is a startup ecosystem which is kind of layered innovations on top of it by building various use cases, right? And at ICICI Bank, we have been one of the most tech savvy, and we believe in technology as the force multiplier for all our businesses, and innovation is at the core of our strategy. So we run a lab where we have many startups which operate out of that lab, and we partner with them. To talk about some of the examples how startups have helped us, to solve some of our challenges and problems in a big way. I would talk about, a startup called SecSure. So they provide satellite data analytics, right? So in all of our agri-business, earlier we used to take a lot of data from the farmers, but now we don't need any data from the farmers because we have the satellite images available for the crop and for the field. Basis that we are able to estimate the income of the farmer and do, assessment of the farmer and, offer various sets of products, right? So imagine, how do you use satellite data in, banking services, right? And they were the pioneers to kind of, and we worked with them on this use case, successfully, commercialized it, right? And now it is available for the entire banking industry. Another example, I can give about, video KYC, right, which is again been working with the startup workapps. It's a combination of so many technologies, right? Since on one side you have, computer vision, you have, face recognition, you have a lot of AI and ML model built into it, right? And now it allows to do a KYC remotely. Earlier, a bank officer has to visit the customer, and it was a lot of paper intensive. It used to consume a lot of time. But now with video KYC, it has become much more simpler, right? So again, this platform, for us has been developed by a startup. The third example I would talk about is GenAI, and there are humongous opportunities in the financial services, the applications of GenAI, right? I mean, so. We've been seeing a lot of startups which are, working on the areas of prompt engineering or, fine-tuning LLMs, right? I mean, and we are very keen to work with those set of startups, where can we not only depend on the, can we create, our own fine-tuned LLMs, right? And then create a layer on top of it, which enables multiple use cases like, it can be used in wealth management, it can be used in customer query resolutions, so multiple areas one can use GenAI capabilities, and believe me, it's just a beginning. So there are so many other use cases which will emerge as we move forward. So another big area where we've been kind of laying a lot of focus and working with a lot of startups. So my kind of 2 bits on all of you young, aspirants to become, maybe entrepreneurs, is that keep an open mind. There are enough and more problems which are to be solved in the banking ecosystem. So pick up one problem and be at it. I'm sure there are enough and more scalable kind of opportunities which are there. So it's just a large ecosystem. Banking, it's an age-old business, but I mean, in terms of innovation, there is a lot more to be done. So I will encourage all of you to, pick up some of those problems, and kind of, we'll be happy to partner and support any of those new initiatives, even at the student level also.
Thank you, Mr.
Sorry, bit the longer one, but.
No, absolutely. It was really insightful how you've given the overall opportunities that exist and gave very specific examples of startups that are solving some of those problems. On this note, I would like to bring in a very interesting perspective of the man behind the Global FinTech Fest, which is a global platform where all the fintech innovations are showcased, made in India for the world, and global fintech innovations are also showcased through this platform. And this last year's GFF has been particularly very successful, and the scale of the event has been unprecedented. So from that perspective, I would like to now invite Mr. Sandeep to share his perspectives on what really caught his attention, what are some of the innovations that he's seeing in the fintech space, and also some suggestions to the audience on where they could be thinking when it comes to fintech innovations.
Thanks, Adarsh. For your views. I actually look at the fintech, the overall startup ecosystem from